Welcome to another episode of Beyond the Beat. We not only talk about everyday problems, we talk about everyday solutions. And we're laughing already because I like usually do a little hello, haven't talked to each other in a week. But today I was like, hit record right away because what in the world is over your left shoulder? James has been redecorating. So I thought we might as well share all of this conversation.
Oh my gosh, you have no idea how much fun I just had. I've been waiting for this for so long just to get you on the phone. But the finishing touches took place.
Yeah.
Just as I was downstairs in my basement, organized, and looking at a bin of all these things that I've collected over time. And I was like, I'm just going to put them all out there. Everything's got a story.
You sure did.
Oh, I
don't know if we should share all the stories all at once because
no, we're not going to. But yeah, there's a lot of stories behind me and on different shelves and whatnot. So
this is good though. I love it. So, well, first of all, we've got to say, what is that?
The Viking?
The Viking, yes.
It's a Viking. Yeah.
It's
a Viking, Bob. Come on, look at the horns. I mean, I can bring it down and show it to you, but the big.
That's okay. We don't want to mess up the
stuff there is of a Viking. Yeah.
What? Why?
Well, I worked for an insurance company, a large insurance company in the past.
Yeah.
And one of the projects that we had when it was incognito around the work we were doing was called Project Viking.
Okay.
So I was a product leader at the time, and I had a team, and we did all sorts of stuff and did a lot of work. We had a cool time, but we went back and forth to Taiwan. I've told you some of these stories. And so going back and forth to Taiwan, we launched a new product in Taiwan, a new insurance investment product. And it was Project Viking, and we became really tight and close as a team and as a group and all sorts of stuff. So one of the presents I got for leading the charge and doing a lot of the work on that was this here Viking.
This here Viking.
So
okay,
it was cool. About a year and a half to 2 year project that we did. So it was a lot of time, space. And
it's quite the thing. It's kind of neat. I mean, okay, that's a good story. I mean, it's like,
I didn't even realize this.
What?
You know who got it for me?
Somebody we know, I guess.
Somebody you know.
Yeah.
A fellow Rush fan.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Stevie Cars.
Our bandmate. Yeah. I haven't been to Steve's great. I haven't been to a show with him in a while, but yeah. I guess, we've just shouted out to him. So now
shout out to Steve Cars. Yeah.
He'll share this episode. Oh, that's awesome, man. I love the background. I think it's great. Yeah. And you've got a microphone, but this does not look recognizable to me. That's not the Samson mic, is it?
Oh, it's brand spanking.
You got something new.
I went all out, buddy.
What'd you do?
I went all out. I got a new mic. I wanted to start taking this seriously. Let's listen.
Yeah.
I know I'm working with you. Those of you who don't know, Bob is a mic specialist, audio specialist. He's really into it. He's
you flatter me.
Crazy about it, but nonetheless, it's a pretty big deal. So I felt like I had to up my game a little bit. So I tried to up my game. I do have other options, as we go through and you check some of the audio levels and things that work or don't work. I've got other options if we need them. But,
sounds good though. I like it.
All right.
What's the brand? Do you?
No idea.
Oh.
No idea. Yeah, no clue. We'll see how it sounds first, and then I'll research that and I'll check it out.
Since I am now an audio expert,
I got to try it. I'm looking over here for the box, and I'm trying.
You could consult me on it, but it sounds good. It looks good. It's great. I love it.
I'm going to surprise you if I can.
That's good. I like it. So actually, this is a good segue because I want to talk about equipment today. But this is great. So you sound good. We're on our way, man. And listen, I've edited the first 2 episodes. Speaking of not telling each other things, I released the first one today. So
glad I could hype it up a little bit without knowing it was coming. That's cool.
Yeah. So there you go. Yeah. So we put it. It's out there. So it's back on our YouTube channel.
Beautiful.
It is. It's shared on our Facebook page, whatever that is worth. But that's all I really kind of have access to. So if you do any other,
I have an Instagram page, by the way, as well.
I know. I think I have access to that.
I think I accidentally connected it or use it sometimes for personal, like pictures of family, because it like goes back and forth, and I'm old. I forget what account
I'm on. Because you got to change your ID,
my kids,
right? You got to switch your user, and sometimes I know.
You just click I think at the top and drop it down. I mean, we can't pull pop. It's not that cool. But I do sometimes post family pictures. I think in Beyond the Beef,
So this is fine.
We'll want it on there, though. I'll put it on.
I think it's better. People want to know who we are.
Yeah, they miss us.
All three of our fans.
They miss us.
Now, so I did that, and here's another story. So, so our YouTube handle is Bob and James. I guess somewhere along the way we did that. That makes sense. And you know what? I had gotten a URL, bobandjames.com, some time ago. But because we were on this hiatus, whatever else, I was like, I collect domain names like luggage, and I hold on to them forever. And then until one day I'm like, I'm not going to do anything with this. Why am I paying for it every year? And that was one of them. It was like, well, we haven't done this in a while. I mean, I don't know if that's it. So anyway, I let it go. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, now we're doing it again. Let me try and get it back.
No.
It's actually owned by a burger joint. So there's a burger joint called Bob and James Burgers. And
the irony in that, since we're dealing with beef as well.
I think it's kind of interesting, right? At some point, I'm going to get in touch with them and say, you're welcome. And that's kind of cool. I think some of the languages in French, so I didn't really look hard enough. They might be in Quebec or something like that. I don't know, but I want to look into it. So that's gone. But I looked into James and Bob. That's available, but that's ridiculous. I mean, who wants that? So
hold on a second. If my name's first, it's no good. It's Bob and James.
I mean, we can't do that.
It does roll
it's
better.
Silly. It's just a silly brand. Yeah. Well, I would do it, but Bob and James, it sounds so good, and it sounds good enough for a burger joint, I guess. So,
apparently.
There you have it. Yeah. Anyway, so that's not there, but I think, we're getting back on track. Here we are.
Yeah,
we're
sure.
Getting back on track. Yeah. So there's some fun stuff happening. And, the last episode, I listened back, I edited it. I'm getting into a groove of like editing quickly because again, anything that gets in our way is, I mean, I know I don't want people to think we're putting minimal effort into this, but we kind of are, because otherwise we're not going to do it. So minimal effort in doing it and lots of effort in not doing it. I don't know. So the only thing I really
over quality at this point. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, right. I mean, content at least over quality, whatever. But then the only thing I need to do is, the YouTube nowadays, every YouTube video has like a thumbnail that's attractive. Yeah. And we just do screenshots. So I don't know. We'll see. I got to figure that out.
A thumbnail is like a screen when you do it through YouTube, right? Like one of the shots.
But nobody does that anymore. Now what they do is they like create a thumbnail that, kind of tells you what the episode's about. And what I mean? And it's like a professionally done.
Sure.
I mean, so I'm going to do that too. I don't know. We'll figure that out.
Yeah.
Anyway. And then if this, really takes off.
Yeah. When?
Sorry. Yeah. Oh, here's another little piece of information. So beyondthebeef.com, which we never had, right?
Which one was that? I'm sorry.
Beyondthebeef.com.
Oh, yes.
We never had that. Somebody else.
It was like a video game or something that was going on with that in the past, right? There was some connection to it.
There was that, but I don't think that's where the .com was. The .com was like connected to some vegan burger or something like that, I think. That went away.
I'm in sometimes.
So I got an email from somebody saying, hey, if you want beyondthebeef.com, I can sell it to you. All right. I didn't inquire, but then I went online to see where it was available for sale. And it said the minimum offer is $100,000.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah,
we're good.
Maybe not.
We're solid. Let's give it some time. Maybe make some content.
Maybe someday.
Maybe we'll see how this goes a little bit.
We'll do that. But I mean, I don't even know if the email was legit. That's not where the number came from. The number came from like, I went on GoDaddy and looked to see if it was available. And it said minimum offer, $100,000. Yeah. And so they must think something big is going on here.
Yeah. Or,
I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
bigger than that. Okay. Beefs.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Do you have any? Because I got plenty, of course.
I know, Bob. I know you do. So, it's interesting. I kind of do, right?
Oh, good.
And it really is, I don't know if I'd call it, say, necessarily a beef, but I guess we can. But it's more around the fact that I'm going to change something. And I think we need to start a new trend.
Uh-oh.
I think the trend that we need to start is getting on Zoom calls, video conferences, video calls, things like that, and not being able to see myself. Okay. And here's
or your Viking.
I'm going to start right there. You could, honestly, I love showing off the personality stuff.
Yeah.
But what I don't like doing is that every meeting I go to, I have to see myself. And let me explain this a little bit more for you. It's become this thing. Well, let me ask you another question first.
Sure.
When you're on a call with me, maybe outside of this or on a call with other people, how often do you look at yourself?
Probably a lot.
A lot, probably, right? Yeah. Of course you do, right? And you're on FaceTime with someone or doing something. You look at yourself a lot, right? Yeah. I talk to my kids on FaceTime. They're making faces. They don't even look at me. They don't even pay attention to the words coming out of my mouth, right? There's this attraction to seeing yourself when yourself is in front of you. And it goes on kind of like the same thing, like you're looking at like wedding albums, right? You act like you care what the bride and groom really look like.
Yeah, you go right to
for pictures of yourself.
Absolutely right to you.
100%.
Everybody does that. Everybody does that. Yeah.
And so here we are now in this society and where we live in the world right now, where I work from home. I'm on Zoom calls all the time or whatever calls it may be. It could be a WebEx, it could be anything, right? But I've got my little picture up there in the corner and I see myself every day, 4 hours, every day. Today, I almost whitened my teeth, with this whitener because I'm so troubled with some of the things that are going on with myself that I see constantly, and it makes me nuts. It's making me into this vain human that is like, I've got to get Invisalign. I've got to consider Botox.
Ridiculous.
I'm losing my mind over here, right?
All right, I don't know that
get up in the morning, brush my teeth, and see my face. Right. Then I would leave the bathroom, and unless I was using the restroom, I wouldn't look in a mirror for the rest of the day until the evening when I was growing up, and that was if I decided to brush my teeth a second time. Right now, I'm seeing myself all the time, constantly. Or I would go to a meeting. I'd sit in meetings all day. I get to look at you and whoever's around the table around me. I wouldn't look at myself. I wouldn't know if there was a hair out of place or my teeth were not looking good. I wouldn't stare at myself and see myself all the time. And now here I am looking at myself constantly, judging myself, feeling horrible about myself, quite frankly.
By the way, is a much different problem than the Zoom thing, right? I mean, listen, you're right in that we grew up. How often did we look at ourselves? I mean, very infrequently, I would say. I mean, there's the occasion, of course, you get up in the morning, you groom yourself, you're in the mirror, and then you go to do whatever you're going to do. And then if you happen to walk past a glass with a dark background, you like see your reflection, you're like, wow, I have this huge gut. I still do that, like walking down Main Street, and then you're like, whoa, who's that? So I mean, but you're right, you don't live in the mirror. But okay, do we need to change that, or do we need to get you a therapist? Because I think this is coming down to something different. Like I've
already got the second one, so you don't working on it personally. We're already doing some work there, but this is a bigger problem.
Because these things that you're pointing out are ridiculous. You have no problems, right? You realize that this is. I'm not trying to compliment you, God knows, but you have no problem. Like anybody would look at you and say, "This is like decent looking guy," right?
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I don't mind saying
it. It looked like it hurt a little bit coming out, but thank you.
By the way, when I was looking for domains, there is actually a domain that's bobandjames.gay.
Okay.
Not that we are or care, but I thought it was interesting. Matter. Like, who would get that domain? I guess maybe that's something. But we're not. And so I can compliment you just as a friend and say, you look good, man. I mean, I think you look good. And so at the end of the day, maybe that's the problem is that you're aging and you are noticing things that nobody else is going to notice, right?
I think it's a bigger issue, and I bring it up for various different reasons, right? We're talking about me.
All right, yeah.
But it's not just me, right? Okay. It's everybody is seeing themselves or putting themselves out there
too much.
A lot more to judge, to be judged, to show this, to show that, more than it has ever happened before. Whether it's this meeting, whether it's social media, whether it's whatever we're doing, everybody is overly sort of exposed, and it's creating this, hey, if I don't look this way or that, look how good they look. Look how good they look. Meanwhile, the way they look in that picture, they've taken 7 million of them because they could, right? School pictures don't mean as much because we've got 7 billion pictures on our phone.
Right.
But everybody is just overly sort of exposed. And now with social media, everybody looks good. So you're looking at yourself and you're going, oh, do I have to change this? Do I have to change that? Do I have to look like this? Do I have to look like that to be rich, to be famous, to get this job, to do this? And there's just this tension that goes on that I know there's me, and I joke around about it, right?
Yeah.
But it's a big thing right now that everyone's trying to keep up with one another and do all these things or look a certain way because they're presented in this way that is not real.
There's your problem. There's your problem, and maybe solution as well, which is that, you are seeing yourself, but I think if you weren't comparing yourself to unnatural, images of other people in unnatural situations, you wouldn't be looking at your teeth or your wrinkles or what, because you don't have any problems, right? So the only reason you would think you have a problem is because you're looking at some super clean, polished, unreal photos of other people who are probably peers or similar ages or things like that. And you're like, oh man, I need to look like that. And I think that is a problem. I mean, I love these sites. There's a couple of them. I don't go on Instagram almost ever, but there are a couple of sites where there are, people that are influencers. And I don't know if you've ever seen these. They show you the picture that they post on Instagram, and then they show you the behind the scenes version, like the unretouched, or it's not even unretouched, but like, the way you pose yourself makes you look a certain way. And then when you kind of don't pose yourself that way, you look like a normal human being. And so they post these side by sides, and it is drastic. I mean, it's a drastic difference, right? Like you look at one and you're like supermodel, and then you look at the other and you're like, oh, normal human. Right. Like I wouldn't even notice that person if I walked by them on the street. And so that is more the problem, I think, is that we've got this artificial standard that everyone's trying to live up to. And especially when you're getting into our age, right? Of course, I'm older than you, but not that anybody would see that by looking at us, but, because, all the Botox and yellow teeth, which I don't have clearly, but
you do have a very smooth forehead, by the way, for a non-Botox person. You're good.
Yeah. Well, no, not under here. I mean, if I went in close, there's a lot of, a lot happening there. Thank you, though. But maybe we should get the domain.
Knock it.
Why not? Where was I now? Okay. The getting into our age group, it's a thing, right? Like, and I don't like to feel this way, but I do sometimes, where you look at somebody who's your age that you went to high school with, you look terrible. And it makes you feel a little better. Like, wow, I look pretty good for my age, right? Like that kind of a thing. And so, I think that we are naturally going to judge ourselves that way. But then when we're doing it against an unnatural standard, then everyone is basically depressed, right? That's essentially the problem.
That's part of it, right? It's like, what's real and what's not. I could turn something on within this conversation that could make all my wrinkles go away, right? I could do a filter on this that can smooth out my entire face.
Turning yourself into a cat,
which I haven't met half the people I work with these days. If they're going to look very different even just on this, than I would if it was face. But me, and I think about, oh, they look so good, they this and that. And yeah, okay, I'm a bit vain. What do you want me to tell you? That's just a little bit about me, right? But many people are, right? And,
I mean, everybody. Well, I mean, I don't know about
a little bit at
everybody,
least. You know,
but this kind of environment does kind of drive you to be more vain. I think that's the point, right? And so, okay, but let's go to I think where you're going with the solution is like turn your video off. Well, you could do that. I mean, you could clearly do that, but then, or hide yours. I don't know if you could hide your video. Probably.
You can go in the app and turn it so you can't see.
So you can't see you, right? Yeah.
I checked before we got.
So, I mean, there's the solution, but I don't think it's a good solution because I do kind of want to see how other people are seeing me, not for vanity reasons, but for reasons of like, it's just something hanging out of my nose, you know, like,
right. We'd go to the office all day long. And if you needed to see how you looked because you thought you had a bat in the cave, you get up and you go to the bathroom and you check out your nose, right?
True,
you never did it at the same time as you were in the meeting. You didn't pull out a little mini mirror, you know, so some women may have it, but I didn't, you know?
Well, yeah. And a lot of, some people did have that, right? But I don't know. I would, it's worth trying. I mean, maybe I would try a conference. Of course, I teach classes, so I can't necessarily do that, but could I try to do a conference call without seeing me?
Everybody else could still see you. It's just that you can see you.
I wonder if that would change the dynamic. It would be a good, interesting. Well, do it. Here's something to do. Do it. Like, so since this is your big idea,
it's something I want to try.
Do it for a day. Yeah. Like
start a groundswell with.
Do it for a day and then see how did it change anything? And then we'll talk about it in the next episode. I think that's worth doing. I think that's kind of a cool thing.
Honestly, I'll probably turn it on in about 5 minutes. Like it's just
try it though.
How I'm going to do it, but I'm going to try my hardest to keep it off.
Keep your view off. Like in other words, people can still see you. It's just you can't see you.
Yeah, I want them to be able to see me, but I don't want to see me. Just like I would be at a meeting, just like I have for the first however many years of my life in a classroom and wherever I was. Right.
It's a neat experiment. I mean. It could be a neat experiment. I mean, I'm going to try it too, but I want you to try it first.
I'll let you know how it goes, you know?
Because actually,
like, is your video, can you see you right now? Because you don't look good, you know? Things like that.
That's the danger. There is danger in this, but I would love to see the results of this experiment. Okay, this is kind of something to look forward to. So you're going to try this week then, right? And then we'll report back.
I'm going to try
how long. See how long? Yeah, try it and see how long that works.
I'm gonna give it a shot.
I think you're gonna crack. I think you're gonna crack.
I think
quickly.
It's gonna be painful. Yeah. First of all, let's face it. Right. I just introduced my Viking. Right. I changed my appearance a little behind me, so I am gonna want to show that off a little.
But you're not stopping anybody from seeing that. It's just you can't see you.
I'm not going to be able to see
it.
Right.
We're not talking about turning your video off. We're talking about you not seeing your view, right?
Seeing me. It's exactly
so,
what I mean.
And again, I don't know exactly how to do that in these conference apps. You probably can, but if you couldn't, you could put something over your picture, I guess.
You just hit the little caret by the video and it scroll down. It says not see myself.
Don't show you. Yeah. Right. So there you go. I think it's worth trying.
I'm gonna try it.
There you go. Good. I like it. We don't have a solution yet because we don't even know if this is a problem with the general population. But
I think so. There's this. So all of this came to me because of what was happening this morning. There was also a conversation that my stepdaughter had with my wife last night around makeup stuff that she wanted to get some cream for her face or something.
Yeah,
and it happens all the time. And every 2 weeks, the type and whatever she's using is changing because her friends are changing it and they're doing different stuff. And everybody's sharing what they're doing on, their whole makeup routine for the girls and all sorts of stuff. So we spent hundreds of dollars and then next thing you know, it's in the garbage because something better and newer came out. And the baffling part to me, the part that kills me is that this is because we're able to share so much.
Overshare.
It's just overshare and it's the social media and it's pictures and the phones and and all this communication about how do I look better and how do I get rid of it. I mean, she's going to be 14 years old, and she's got more makeup and creams and little pimple things that she's putting on because she's so worried about her face and complexion and everything to be perfect.
Yeah.
Like, you're 14.
Yeah,
like,
you shouldn't be perfect.
No.
Well, you shouldn't be perfect at any age.
Exactly.
Nobody is perfect.
It's a great way of saying
but listen, the thing is, I think trying to make ourselves into something we're not is nothing new to humanity. Mm-hmm. It's just been amplified, right? And to the point where it could make people feel pretty crappy about themselves. Mm-hmm. When you're 50, maybe you handle that better than when you're 14, right? And you're living up to a natural standard. Like, I don't think that's healthy. But, again, how many times do we talk about how unhealthy social media can be? This is part of it, right? Is that,
exactly.
You think that it's real and it's not. I mean, at least like reality television. My wife, Nora, loves reality television. Mm-hmm. But we know that it's not real. I mean, okay, it portrayed as real, but you could see it. And it's not real. At least parts of it are not real. But social media, you don't really get that flavor. Right. And maybe it's a little more real than reality television, but it's still not real because people are only selectively posting the parts of their life that they want you to see in the light that they want you to see it, right?
Right.
And that's not real.
Age, that doesn't click at a young age, right?
No way that's real.
That's not how the brain works.
Yeah, that's not. It's so yeah, this is a problem. But okay, let's work towards this. So, if you experiment with this, see how it goes. Again, okay. I think I have a good idea, but I'm curious. And then I'll try it after you.
All right, if it works. If I tell you it was a nightmare, it's a bomb, you're certainly not going to give it a shot. Yeah, but, I'll let you know how it goes.
Not like, I'm going to implode if I try it. I just, it's not my beef. So, I would want to see how it goes.
Totally mine. Yeah, totally.
Because I'm clearly not as vain as you are.
Yeah, you'll find out after listening to multiple episodes of Beyond the Beef, you'll understand that was Bob being facetious.
Right. When I edit the videos, by the way, I don't even know what you look like.
Even know what I say for that matter.
Oh, James is here.
Yeah, this is a great episode. Meanwhile, I'm tripping over my words the whole time. And, this was a great one. You should listen to this. That was great.
I do try, though. I do try to see what the balance of our speaking is because I don't want any one of us to dominate. And we do pretty well with that. Like, we're pretty even in our, like, you speak, I speak, we speak together.
We're both pretty good listeners.
Well, yeah, I think, we think we are. All right. So I have a beef too.
Yeah. Talk to me, Goose.
Now this is I have a few, but I don't want to put them all into one episode, right? Because then people get bored. But since we've been talking about microphones and equipment, this is a story I haven't shared with you. I think it's kind of funny. So, okay. So you've already shared with people that I'm an audiophile and I love microphones and everything. What you haven't shared is how many I have. You don't even know what my collection looks like. Right. Oh my goodness. This started during COVID. I mean, I'm a collector, right? So and I'm a buyer and things.
No place to phrase OCD, I guess. But yeah, you're a collector.
Right, yeah. OCD goes along with it. And I also am a creator. but I've rebuilt microphones. I designed them, from a standpoint of art and paint them. So I've gotten into a thing. Anyway, I've got literally hundreds of microphones, right? And so when I see a cool new design, I like to buy it, try it out. And then the regular thing, because I have so many of them, I keep them in their boxes and I store them in my closet over here. I have big closet, but I store them.
You'll ever see in your life.
Ridiculous. But when I want to use them, then I take them out of their box and I set them up and then, so this is my kind of thing. And I switch them out. I like the way this one sounds, by the way, so I may not switch this out that much, or maybe I will, whatever. But that's kind of how I do it. Okay. So I was reorganizing my very organized closet and I was putting away things and everything else. And there's this one microphone that I have, and I brought a prop, by the way.
Props. Good. Good. I got a couple behind me.
Okay. I'm going to try and do this so that the brand isn't showing, not because it's a secret. I mean, it's their product and we have the right to talk about that, but you know me, I don't like to that's not the point. Right. But here's the product and here's the box. And so you could see that the box is designed where there's a box part and then there's a bottom part. Okay. And so here, watch this. If you hold the box where you would hold a box, right? this is what.
That's not smart.
Yeah. So now picture this, and it's just like that slidey kind of that
little stickers on the side break here.
It's a nice packaging, but so when I go to pick the box up, this is what happens. It picks up, and then falls straight out, but like exactly 7 seconds after I pick up the box, right? Mm-hmm. And so then, of course, this beautiful microphone that's in the bottom of this thing falls out to the floor, the concrete floor. And
did this happen? This happened
twice. Okay, twice because I'm not thinking that I have to pick the box up any differently than I would a normal box, which is like this right now. So I figured that this is like a teaching moment because I love those, right? And I said, all right, now let me contact the company and tell them what my experience with, so you can see where this is going to go, right?
I'm sure they were welcoming to the feedback.
They should be, I would think, right? I mean, because here I am. I'm not like saying, hey, what I might have thrown in there, hey, I damaged the microphone because of this design. And if you wanted to give me a warranty replacement, I'd be more than happy to take one. But that's not the point of my email. And I did say that. I prefaced that, right? So I got a response back, and I'm paraphrasing, but
so this was all via email that you communicated back.
Oh yeah, just an email. Okay. It was a very positive. Like it wasn't like, and I've written some not positive emails to many a company, right? But this was not that. This was me sending an email to the company saying, hey, I want you to know about this experience, not once, but twice when I pick up the box. And I think you probably should think about this for future designs. And since I damaged the microphone, if you wanted to send me a replacement, you can, or whatever, or not, that's fine too. Okay. So I get a response back. Basically, the response, paraphrasing, is, well, yeah, this box you need to pick up from the bottom. And if you wanted to use something different to protect the microphone leaks, we recommend that you buy a Pelican case. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with Pelican cases.
These I'm guessing they're expensive.
Roughly the same price as the microphone.
They tried to sell you another product.
Well, they didn't. They weren't trying to sell me because I don't think they have any affiliation with it. They're just basically saying that, you don't know how to pick up a box. And you know what? If you really wanted to, if you wanted to not change the way you pick up the box because you're too stupid to pick up a box, then here is basically an alternative for you, which is, and I was infuriated.
I could only imagine.
Infuriated. Because I'm thinking to myself, so of course my response back was, that's no help at all. Now I'm mad, right?
Now I'm mad. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And I responded twice. First,
because you didn't get it all thinking, in and then first one. You're like, I should have said this too.
I wasn't like inappropriate, but just like, that's ridiculous, right? And then I sent another one and said, you know what? My last email didn't tell you exactly what was on my mind, which is, this is what you should have said to me, right? What you should have said to me was, thank you for the feedback. We understand, and we will take that feedback for future products. And by the way, for the trouble, here's what we're going to do. It didn't have to be a brand new mic. It could have been like
they gave you
10% off for something in the future or whatever else, or even nothing. Even if they decided we're not going to do anything, just acknowledge the fact that we appreciate the feedback. We understand the experience, and we're going to take that into account for future, designs. But no, the response essentially was, here's how you pick up a box. And if you don't know that, well, then maybe you are not responsible enough for a box and you need a case.
Now,
so there you go.
Yeah. So for those of you who may be listening and may not realize, Bob and I are both product guys. Okay. Guys, yeah. We'll put it that way.
Yeah.
So when you think about a product, it goes everything from the idea to the packaging. And in this scenario, the product inside the package could be absolutely fabulous, but Bob's having a bad experience. And
it's a lot less fabulous when it hits the concrete floor. I could tell you that.
A lot less. Because of this. If I was building a product that was fabulous and then it was put in a package and it broke, I would be very upset as a product person as well that my product is not presenting itself as it should.
Bad package. I mean, there's no two ways around it, right? The microphone is at the bottom of the package, and where you pick up the package makes the microphone fall out of it. It's just a bad design, right? And so
So I got to say this first and foremost. Ironically, my whitening strips that my sister-in-law, who's a dental hygienist, got me, come in the exact same package, but there's not an issue there because they're light. They don't break when they fall, right? So I just go like this and I pull them out, and then I decide I'm being too vain and I talk about it Beyond the Beef. But it's not a problem for that product. It's a problem for a multiple pound microphone that is going to slide out and smash onto the ground.
Smash onto the ground. So
that's,
now, I will say this, in case anybody recognizes the microphone, people who are audiophiles will, right? It is a great microphone. I love the microphone, to be honest with you. And it is a solidly built microphone. And I'll give it this. It took 2 drops on the floor and it's actually fine. It's a little dented and scratched, but it actually works fine. So maybe that's the approach. Is like, well, so who cares? It still works, but it bugs me, right? I mean, it bugs me. And it's not like, it's $1,000 microphone or anything like that, but it bugs me. And I just feel like that response was a terrible response. So when I gave the teaching moment and I said, here's what you should have said, crickets.
Nothing. Yeah, they're done with
nothing back.
They said what they said. They moved on to the next. And it makes you wonder where these things go, right? So when you think about it, like, where did your feedback go to? Did it go to a disgruntled customer service rep who really doesn't care if their product bounces off the ground?
Don't know.
Did it go to a product team, which I would be somewhat surprised to hear if that was the case, but it could be, right?
Don't know.
Who did it go to, and what made them react in that way to say that? And what sort of culture is there in that service area? Because let's face it, anybody listening to this knows that that's not the right answer. Like, that's just not the right answer. Because they could have blown smoke all day long and you would have walked away with a smile, right?
Yeah.
They could have said, we're going to pass it to the product team, and then they could have deleted the email. You still would have felt better.
Right. Something that just says thank you, right? Like, they weren't nasty. I don't want to, overstate that. Like, it wasn't a nasty response. It wasn't anything like that. It was more, I interpreted it as a defensive response, right? Like, well, this is what you should be doing. And say, almost implying that I'm too stupid to use this product, right? That's kind of the way that I felt. Maybe I'm just overly sensitive. I don't know. But that's the way that I felt. Like, instead of acknowledging that, yes, this is a design that's flawed and we should take that into account for future products, it was more like, the product's fine. It's you who's the idiot, like that didn't feel good, right? It just didn't feel good.
Yeah, of course. So, and then there's a lot to that, right? Did they read your email with a certain tone? Did you read their email with a certain tone?
Could be.
There's all of this piece that you could dig into, kind of how it was read, and how it was said, and how it was, how it was looked at. But I think the bottom line is communication is different now. And one thing that I've talked a lot to a lot of people, including within my own family, is we have to assume positive intent, because a lot of times if we don't assume positive intent, we get defensive, we get angry, and boom, boom, he must have been, they must have been an exclamation point on this. I literally make, my wife will read something, it could be from her mother even, and she'll get upset. Can you believe she said this? I said, can you read it to me or let me read it? Because when she reads it, there's an emphasis on this or that. And I'm like, I read it different. Doesn't sound angry. Doesn't do this or this, right?
Yeah, it's a good point.
So that's
a really good point. And maybe that person read my email like, hey, this guy's just gunning for a free mic, because I did put in there like, and the reason I put it in there is not because I was trying to get something for nothing, but because their package caused me to damage the mic, right? Or caused the mic to be damaged. And so I thought that was the right thing for them to do, would be to replace it or give me something. But maybe they read it like, oh, this guy's just gunning for a free mic. And so, but there's one big difference in the whole interpretation, scenario. And that is that I'm the paying customer, right? So I get the benefit of the doubt here, right? I get the benefit of the doubt. I can actually, provide whatever feedback that I want. Now, I can tell you that it was a very positive piece of feedback that I was giving. So again, solutions, here's mine, is, be careful how you pick up a box, because apparently, there's a certain way that you're supposed to do that.
Heavy item.
Yeah, if you're too stupid to pick up a box, be careful, right? Like, just look at the box, stare at it, make sure you understand how it's supposed to be picked up, and then, so that's number one. But number two, if you're in a service role where there is a customer with what is a legitimate complaint, right? Don't get defensive. Don't get like you admitting that you were wrong is an okay thing. That is beneficial to the company, because that would have generated a lot more sales, especially in this particular situation, than the response that I got. Right. So anyway, 100%. I hope somebody can take that advice to heart in any company that you're in, because I think a lot of companies do this. They react defensively. And maybe, they deal with a lot of unreasonable customers. There's probably a million reasons, but when you react defensively, you're going to lose that customer. That's kind of the way that it is. So.
And one of the hardest things to do, just to add to that a little bit, is to look at each interaction as being in and of itself, right?
Yeah.
So there could be 10 people before Bob that said, hey, my microphone broke, give me a new one. And could have been angry, and maybe it did break, maybe it didn't break, maybe they were trying to play the game or whatever. But that doesn't give you a reason to respond the way you did to Bob, because Bob wasn't that person. So if you look at each sort of individually and not based on the larger piece, because let's face it, your job as customer service is to be good at customer service, to make the customer feel good about the product which you're selling, because without them, your job is gone. Like, that's just the way it is.
Or maybe we all deserve new microphones because your package is terrible.
Yeah, maybe you really did do something
that
wrong.
Is another possibility, right?
Sure.
And listen,
change it.
I think there's a million other ways. Yeah. Or give me money towards a new microphone that you're gonna make margin on, right? And then everybody's happy. This way, I'd be very surprised if you get any more money from me.
Right.
So there you go. Yeah. Anyway, so there's my beef for the day. Oh, I have so many more, but I know that we have to pay a little bit of attention to time here. So anyway, probably time to wrap this thing up. But yeah, I got to start writing these down now, because like this, I don't know. Or we got to do them more frequently.
Yeah.
I have so many.
But they just come like this. Like today's just kind of came to me from my perspective. I was like, there's a real change in things, in society, and how I do things, and all this stuff. We'll talk more about it.
We'll talk more about it. So next week, we've got my other gripes that I have, but we have more importantly, your experiment. Now, one thing that I will notice when I edit this, and I'm sure others will notice as well, is that you started this conversation saying that I think I'm going to whiten my teeth, and then you kind of ended it with my teeth whitening box. Looks like this.
No. I started this. I literally had the package in my hand.
Oh, you haven't done it yet.
I was going to do it in the bathroom before this, so my teeth would be whiter for this, right?
Do you think it works that fast?
And then I was like, the heck am I? Like, what am I doing? This isn't me.
James, what are you whitening your teeth with? A sandblaster? I mean, it doesn't work that fast.
Like little things I could put in there. Like the top one is like, peroxide and bottom, and you keep them in for a couple of minutes. And like I said, my sister-in-law is a dental hygienist, so she gives me all this stuff.
You should ask her.
120 things of dental floss in my house. It's.
I'm fairly certain it doesn't work that fast. You ask her, but I'm pretty sure it's not like
process, Bob. I was going to start it. I decided not to. Okay,
so like magic.
This is what happens, right?
I mean, that would be some heavy whitener if it works in 5 minutes.
Right here, buddy. I got a lot of work to do.
You really do. Whatever whitens your teeth in 5 minutes, don't put near your mouth.
Probably isn't a good idea. Probably isn't a good idea.
Anyway, all right. Well, I think that's going to be a wrap, my friend. Love the background. Love the microphone. Looking forward to next week as always. And for everybody out there, thank you for joining. Of course, don't forget to subscribe. We have this on podcast. We have this on YouTube. We'll probably have it in other places as well. Who knows? Leave comments, whatever you want to do. And while you're doing that, we will wait for you and see you back here on the next episode of
Beyond the Beef.
Thanks for joining.